computer. That's Facebook people. Hi. Welcome to episode number 950 of Comic Spot. These interviews were designed so that you at home can get to know who comedians are before you run out and go see a show. Because quite frankly, I get tired of your moaning and groaning and complaining that the person wasn't your cup of tea. So I'm kidding. But I've seen a lot of people go and they don't know. They just go, let's go out to, honey, let's go see comedy. And then it's not their cup of tea. So this is your chance to see what people are like, off stage with no mask on, bearing their soul, getting drilled to death by me. My mother always said, Linda, you can ask more questions. And it's true. I could stay on here all day asking more and more questions. But I don't. But it's a good way for you to get to know comedians, who they really are, through me drilling them. So I have a sponsor, believe it or not. I have a sponsor. It's called the veteransofcomedy.com. I was in the military. You're welcome. I was in 73 to 76, a long time, whole nother life. And, so now this military group of veterans that do comedy let me in their group, and they have a website. So if you ever go, maybe we want to have an ex-soldier who's now doing comedy, somebody who used to serve our country and they're now serving up yucks, you go to veteransofcomedy.com and you scroll past all the men, and then you get to my picture and you hire me. Got it? I'm kidding. You can hire whoever floats your boat. And they got a whole bunch of them there that, quite frankly, float my boat. You might want to go check it out for personal reasons, professional, whatever. Will C is going to kill me if he finds out I'm making fun of this. But I can't do a straight promo for the life of me. When you ask a comedian to do something, you just need to give them carte blanche to be themselves. Anyway, so that's my nod to my sponsor. Now, episode 950. Yeah, you're right here and you get to watch this, and it's not live. No, this is after the fact, because I've been Zuckerberged again. Facebook's not cooperating. Our guest today is over there in the other square. Well, she's kind of in a triangle, and so am I, but whatever, you get the point. Her name is Linda San Lucas, not to be confused with Linda Marcus Smith. That's me. So Linda versus Linda. I'm Linda 2 today. She's Linda 1. She's more important. Let me read you her intro before you fall asleep. She says, I started doing stand-up in 1994 after one of my customers in the photo lab I worked in, a stand-up comedian named Brad Trackman, heavy hitter that he is, heard me joking around with another customer and asked me if I did stand-up. Wow. I said no, and he said, you should. What a great way to start. You're really funny, he said. The next time he came in to pick up his photos, he brought me information about a comedy class workshop that Eric Cornfield was teaching at the New York Comedy Club, which was on East 24th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue in New York City. I have had ups and down times when I stopped doing comedy due to various health issues, one of which I turned into some comedy routines, but I always come back to it. Recently, I was told by another comic who although she wasn't present at my most recent gig, said she knew I had the audience laughing because I'm hysterical. And she didn't mean that in hysterical, take her away in a straitjacket kind of way. Seriously, it was actually a very nice compliment. I have performed in several comedy festival competitions and came in runner-up in 2 of them, but they have always been fun and a learning experience. I have studied in various comedy workshops and coaching sessions with the comic Frank Vignola in most recent years, who I love. So you get to meet her today. Let's find out all about her. Our guest on Comic Spot interview number 950, because I'm keeping track. Welcome to the stage. Right now, finally, I get to know her all by myself. Linda San Lucas. Woo!
Thank you, Linda. I'm very flattered that you wanted to interview me, because I'm not a famous comic or nothing. You know what I'm talking about? So.
Everybody is just as important as the next, because we're all just trying to learn and try to make people laugh, and nobody's more important. I'm sorry, I don't fall for egos.
No. By the way, I know a couple of comics who are former military, men. I don't know if you know any of them. Mike Bichetti, do you know him?
I don't think I know Mike Bichetti, but I sure like that last name.
He is so hilarious, and he was a Marine. And I think my friend Billy Bingo Dennis, he was also, I think, in the Marines, and he was a firefighter. And after he retired, it's not about me, but right after he retired, 9/11 happened, and he went back down there to Ground Zero and everything.
How's his health now?
Yeah. So these might be guys that you would like to interview.
Yes, please send me their names when we get done. I won't remember.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
How's his health? The fireman that went back to 9/11, how's his health now?
No, he's good. He had some years back, he had like open heart surgery, and he's one of these people who like actually shows you the aftermath, the scars. I mean, I'm like, why do you have to show this on Facebook? I get major surgery, and I never show my scars. So.
I'm glad Facebook Live was never around when Dr. Kevorkian was doing his thing. We'd probably see that.
Probably, yeah. But other than that, I mean, he seems to be, in good shape, and he's an avid motorcycle rider and all that stuff. And yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Nice. So you live in the heart of COVID. You live out in the East Coast. So talk to everybody before we talk about you and your life. Let's talk about you and your loved ones, family, and friends getting through COVID. Tell us about how that went.
Well, I live in the Bronx, New York, and my sister and brother-in-law live on Long Island. And during the height, I guess, of COVID, my mom was living in Brooklyn, but now she's health-wise, she's not doing that great. I mean, she's not like horrible, but she's, so she's been living with my sister and brother-in-law since November. She doesn't live in Brooklyn anymore. But my cousin and her husband and my uncle, they lived like a couple of doors. Well, actually, my uncle had passed away about 2 years before COVID. But my cousin, she was an avid anti-masker, which drove me nuts. Especially they would go over to visit my mother. They only lived 2 doors down from her. And I said, did she happen to have her mask on when she came to visit your mom? She goes, oh no. And I go, well, you know what? Tell her to put the damn mask on before she comes over to see you. I don't know why but whatever. Anyway, knock on wood, we're all lucky. None of us got COVID. I mean, I got the vaccines back in February of 2021. I got the first 2 vaccines at Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
They were giving it just for Bronx residents only. So, because it was a pain in the ass to try to get an appointment. So I finally, I got an appointment right away over there, and then I got the booster. My booster was in October, this past October. So I'm going to get another booster. But I've been great, and I have to go to I've been going to nursing homes. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you're thinking of relocating?" And she was dead serious. I said nursing homes. I said I'm looking at them for my mother. She asked me if I'm looking to relocate. I'm like, so, and every time I go to one of these nursing homes, and now a friend of mine who's only 58, he had what they call a spinal stroke, and he had to go. He's in a nursing home now, having a rehab and everything. And every time I go to visit him, or every time I go to take a tour, they do the nasal swab thing. So I'm always negative. So knock on wood. And also, my doctor had taken the blood test and set it for the antibodies. This was like back in, I think, June when I went for a physical. And I had a really high number of antibodies. She said it was one of the best, results she's ever seen. And I'm like, and I'm a kind of person who used to get a cold every year, at least 2 or 3 times a year. And I haven't had a cold for like 6 years. So,
wow,
oh,
that's fabulous.
And as far as I'm trying to remember, I think one of my cousins who lives like in Florida, surprised, did get COVID, but is okay now. But I'm trying to remember who exactly it was, because I have a ton of cousins, but most of them have relocated. They live in South Carolina and they live in Florida, so I can't remember which one it was, but one of them did have a case of. You had it too, right?
I had it twice, and I can't get the shots, and I wear the mask, and I stay away. When people get too close, too many people, I get the heck out of there. I don't care if it's the best club in town. If they're cramming around me, I move.
Yeah, no, I mean, here in New York, a lot of people are not wearing the mask when they go. I mean, you can even see pictures of people in the audience. No audience member. You might see 1 or 2 audience members with the mask on.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that when I go to certain clubs, I don't have it on either, when I'm sitting in the audience. But then sometimes I go like, I keep it like around my neck. And then sometimes I go, yeah, maybe I better put it on, so I haven't been that good about it lately. I was much better about it in the beginning. I mean, when we first started going back to the clubs.
Yeah.
Which I think, yeah. But,
well, when I come to New York and I go into Comic Strip Live, it's very closed in, narrow hallway, small room, low ceiling. So I'll be wearing a mask. But big clubs, I take it off unless people are sitting too close to me, then I put it back on. I don't care what they think.
Yeah, I just saw some photos recently. Friends of mine who are comics, they're always posting, great show, what a great venue this was. And then they show the audience, and they're all sitting like shoulder to shoulder, and they don't have masks on.
Yes.
This is like in Jersey and New York. I keep seeing that because I have a lot of friends who perform in, clubs in Jersey. And there's a lot of nice clubs there too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Linda, I've never really gotten to know you, and people want to know who you are, where you come from, where do your values come, where does your passion to make people laugh come from. So here's how I do it. We get inside of a DeLorean. Okay, it's just imaginary. Get inside of a DeLorean with a flux capacitor, and we go back to when you were little Linda growing up. Paint us a picture in a sentence or two, what your role was in your family, when did you become funny? Was that at home growing up, grade school, or high school? Or college?
Well, no, I was always pretty funny, around certain people. But when I was little, I was really very shy, and people were so surprised when in high school I took drama classes, and then I studied acting at HB Studio in the village, the Uta Hagen. I used to see Miss Hagen was never one of my teachers, but I used to see her on the stairwell all the time as I was going from class to class, and she would always say, "Well, smile at me." I did everything I could do to keep from like genuflecting in front of her. She was like this, acting idol. So, but she was always very nice and asked me how I was doing and how I was liking classes. Oh, they're really, I love them, Miss Hagen, thank you. And then I would go after she left, Uta Hagen speaks to me when she sees me in the hallway or on the staircase. But yeah, I was really, really shy when I was young. I wouldn't raise my hand in class, and then they would have to call on me. Just like when I'm in second and third grade and stuff like that. And oftentimes I knew the answer. I mean, I found one of my old report cards, and it said, "Linda doesn't. You have to encourage her to raise her hand more in class because we always have to call on her, and when we do, most of the time she knows the answer, but she's like too shy. I was always afraid. I think I know the answer, but it might be wrong, and I don't want to be wrong. So, I think I really started my people more outside of my family got to know that I was funny when I was like in junior high. And then in high school, I really came out of my shell. So.
And so when you came out of your shell in high school, you had been doing acting and plays, right?
No, I in high school is when I started taking, they had, it wasn't a required course, but we always had these extra courses if you wanted to take something extra for extra credits or whatever. And I took the drama classes, so.
Drama, okay. And so when did drama on stage performance in front of people turn into improv and then comedy? What order and when, how, why, and when did all that happen?
Well, the comedy actually didn't happen until I was, getting on stage doing stand-up until I was in my early 40s. And that was in 1994. So, yeah. So, yes, I'm a baby boomer. And because I also very, very interested in photography, and I took all kinds of photography courses, and I got a certificate of completion from the New York Institute of Photography and all that kind of stuff. And I went to Parsons School of Design, things like that. And I used to process all my own black and white film and do all my own prints. And the print behind me is one of my prints here. You can see how well you can see it.
It's beautiful.
I'll zoom in on it.
Beautifully framed.
Well, thank you. I framed it myself. Anywho, so I used to do all that kind of stuff. And I really got interested in photography, and I thought for a while I wanted to be like a photojournalist. And I just used to, and I did do some freelance work for a local newspaper here called the Riverdale Press. And I had a couple of front page photos there and everything, especially when a subway derailed in my neighborhood, and they sent me to take pictures of that. And I couldn't get, when I got up on the platform, it's an elevated subway. And when I got up on the platform, you could see the train, the front car, I think it was the first two cars, had kind of gone off the rail. But it wasn't a good shot. I mean, you couldn't really, it wasn't dramatic. And I said, oh, if I could get up on the roof or something, or on somebody's fire escape and look down on it, I could get a really good shot. So I ran to this building, which was a walk up. I went to the 6th floor and I knocked on these people's door, and they were watching it was in the daytime, in the afternoon, in the summer, and it was very hot. And I explained who I was working for, and what just happened. Could I go out on your fire escape and take some pictures of it? And okay. So I took some pictures of it, and I said, is there a way for me to get up to the roof? Because I could get an even more overhead dramatic shot that way. And they go, oh yeah, let's go over there. So I went up the roof and I took the pictures. Then I ran down because I was supposed to meet my editor, and I ran down the 6 flights, and I ran up to the subway, which is like about 3 flights of stairs there to go there. And when I got there, all of a sudden, and the fire department was there, and the EMT guys were there, and I just felt it was so hot, and I felt like sort of feeling like woozy, like I was going to pass out. And they sat me down, they gave me oxygen, and my editor said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, well, let's go back. I can process the film. I mean, I processed the film in the little studio that they had, and I made a couple of prints for them to pick out. And my print, not to pat myself on the back, because I can't reach that far, it's only on the shoulder. The next day, the Daily News had a front page cover of theirs, and the Riverdale Press used my picture on the front page of their newspaper. And I had to tell you, mine was a much, much better picture. Even my editor said that one on the Daily News, you could barely tell that it was, derailed. And I said, yeah, that's because the guy just stood on the platform. He didn't go above. What kind of a reporter does that? So I felt like, you know. So I
Wow.
was really into that for a long time. And I used to do other freelance work for, there was a group, well, they're still around. They're called Bronx Arts Ensemble. They play classical music, and they used to hire me to, cover some of their concerts and stuff like that. So,
No way.
yeah, but that was a long time ago. But I
And so,
still did my
so
own prints,
what?
and I still always did my own black and white prints, and I'm still, really into photography.
I
So that's
love photography. What's your favorite thing to take photos of these days?
these days, I really just mostly take pictures of stuff in, things I see on the street, pictures of inanimate objects and scenics and trees and flowers and things like that. But I used to always just take pictures of people. And sometimes I would get in trouble. They would say, "We taking my picture? Why are you taking my picture?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Then I would sort of lower my camera. I already had it focused, and I would sort of sneak a shot, But so mostly, I want to do more of people, but the people lately that I photograph are people in my family, but not so much on the photojournalistic side. When I was about 13 and John Lindsay was running for
Kevin.
mayor, I lived in Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan, and he was coming to Washington Heights to campaign with Senator Jacob Javits was, backing him and everything. And I heard that they were going to be up on St. Nicholas Avenue, which is just a block away from where I live, and they were going to be down on 185th Street or something, which is 4 blocks away from where I live. So I walked over there with this little brownie camera I used to have, and I got these great shots of Lindsay campaigning, and also, Jacob Javits. And then when Lindsay got off this flatbed truck that they were standing on giving this speech, he got down to shake hands with the people in there. And I took all these pictures of him while he was shaking hands with the people. Stuff
So
like
let's say, God forbid, there's a fire. You can only grab one photo from your whole life's work.
Ow. I don't know. Maybe a picture that's over here on the wall of my niece and her husband on their wedding day that I took.
Oh, wow.
Do that.
Now, is that black and white too?
No, it's color. I did it with my Minolta. Not Minolta. I had a Minolta. Fujifilm FinePix digital camera.
Ah.
Was standing at a great distance because they were with the photographer, the professional photographer, wedding photographer that they had hired, and they were, so I didn't want to go up there while the guy was doing his work. So I was quite a long distance away from them. I was outdoors, and but this camera has a fixed lens, but it goes up to a 300 millimeter. So I was able to get a really good shot as if I was standing only a few feet away from them. So maybe that grab. And my favorite picture of my niece when she was about 2 years old with my brother-in-law holding her, Oh, it would be very hard, Linda. I would be grabbing all kinds of things off the wall. I have tons of photos here. My apartment is a mess right now, so you're only seeing this.
That's beautiful.
Stationary.
I love black and white when it's been framed so well.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Like Ansel Adams photos.
Oh, yeah, he's one of my favorites. I love W. Eugene Smith. He was great, people like that. Yeah. I call those photographers from the 30s and the 40s and the 50s era,
Yeah.
What's her name was Dorothea Lange. She did all those people, people from the Dust Bowl and everything, so.
Wow. So you got into comedy and improv. Talk to me about your getting into comedy and improv now.
Well, I was always pretty funny, and whenever I was at friends' houses, parties and stuff like that, and I would, just be being naturally funny, I guess. my friends would say, "No, you ought to go into comedy. You ought to go, yeah." And then I get thinking about it, but I had no clue on how to get into it. And when this guy, Brad Trackman, who at that time he was starting out too, you probably have heard of Brad. I mean, he's a working comic. He's all over the place.
He's
Really
a
nice guy.
buddy. He's a buddy of mine.
Yeah, he loves
Big deal. He's a big deal.
and he's a very nice guy. And but he was just starting out. He was working at the New York Comedy Club, like, you know, checking people in when they would come in and stuff like that when I first met him. But anyhow, yeah, what was I saying?
So how you got into comedy and how you got into improv?
Well, yeah, my friends would always tell me at parties, "Oh, you should get into comedy." I didn't know how, and so then when Brad heard me talking to this other another customer at the Photo Lab, I was in customer service, and when he turned around and said, he goes, "Do you do stand up?" I said, "Yeah, no," and he goes, "Should, you're really funny." And I said, "Well, you know, I would like to, but I have no idea how to get into it." And he said, "I'm bringing some information the next time. I know a workshop that's starting at the New York Comedy Club," which is where he was working at the time. You know, Al Martin owned it at the time. And so I went, he goes, yeah, and he gives me information to call this woman, Debbie Cops, who's a friend of mine now. But she gets on the phone and she was like his administrator, I guess. Eric Kornfeld was the guy who was teaching the class. And I called her because I was supposed to call her to like tell her I wanted to sign up and all that. And where do I go? And she goes, and she talks like this. She goes, "Well, tell me, where have you done your stand up?" I said, "Well, I've not done any stand up." So where might we have seen you? I said, "If you came to my office, you would see me here." I said, "I'm telling you, I've never performed stand up on stage. I'm just really funny, I'm told." And I said, "I know I am, and I know I could do it, but I just didn't know how to start." She goes, "Well, I think you ought to meet Eric first. Go see him. He's going to be at Stand Up New York. Introduce yourself to him, blah, blah, blah." So I went to see his set, and then he met me in front of the club. Well, this front area in the club by the bar. And I was telling him, you know, he was asking me what my experience was. And I said, "Well, you know, I've written funny things, but they were like newsletters for companies that I worked for, and I wrote humorous stuff." And I said, "But no, I've never," you've never performed stand up before? You've never been on stage? I said, "No." He said, "I love this." He goes, "I want you in the class." He said, "Because you're a total novice and it's going to be completely, you know, there's going to be 10 people in the class. Some of them are actors. They've never done stand up. Some of them have done stand up and then they left it. Now they're coming back and you're going to be like somebody get mold, I guess." So the first day of the class, oh, and he tells me I should go to open mics. So it's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I walk out of there and I go, "What the hell is an open?" I didn't even know what open mics were. I didn't know where to find them. So I didn't go to an open mic. I wrote some material and I brought it to class the first day. And he said, "Linda," he goes, "I'm going to put you on first." I said, "Oh, okay, great." And then he says, after a while, he says, "You know what? I'm going to put on, you are the total novice here. You have never done stand-up." "That's right." He said, "Well, I'm going to put you on last. You can watch all the other comics and then, you know, then you can go on." So yeah, so that'll make me even less nervous seeing all these other people who have some measure of experience and, you know, some of them had a lot, you know. So I went on and I thought I brought my material up. I said, "But I have to read some of it." You know, "Oh, that's fine. It's the first class. You don't worry about it." And I did whatever I did. And he stood up and he said, "You've done this before." And I said, "No, I haven't." I said, "This is my first time doing it." He goes, "Well, did you get to some of the open mics, you know, and before you came here?" And I said, "Well, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have no idea what an open mic is. I didn't know where to find them. So no, this is my first time doing it, period, on stage in front of a bunch of people that I don't know yet." So he said, "I can't believe it." He goes, "You're a natural." And I said, "Well, okay, great." So then all the people that were in the class, they said, "We can give you some names of some open mics and where to go to get." And that's when I went on the road to open mic hell, you know, because I mean, you know, it was fun initially, but then after a while it was like, come on,
Horrible.
how many more of these things do I have to do? So I haven't been doing any open mics since the, you know, I do them occasionally, but I haven't done any in a couple of years. You know, I
Yeah,
consider kind of like the stuff that we've been doing on Zoom to sort of be like an open mic, you know, but
totally.
without live people. You know. Yeah, because I've been doing this crap too long, and off and on. You know, I would leave it for a while. I had to have major surgery one time, and I was out of work for. I couldn't even go to work. I was on disability for like almost 5 months, and that took me kind of a while to get back into it. And every time I would take, and then I would get like frustrated, you know, when what was going on. Why haven't I passed? Why did the people tell me, "Oh, you're really funny, but you need to get to the punchline too"? I said, you know what? I don't tell like the real. A lot of times in my act, I don't tell the real conventional kind of thing. I'm not going to have a laugh every 8 to 10 seconds. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think, you know, and and I always get a great reaction from the audience. I get a lot of, you know, and people come up to me, you know, when I do a regular show, people come up to me after the show who are not friends of mine who came to see me, who tell me how much they enjoyed it and they liked it so much and blah, blah, blah. They related to certain things I was talking about. And I don't get why, you know, this whole thing of you have to have X amount of laughs every like 10 seconds. That's not going to happen. I mean, going to happen with me. I mean, I get a really good reaction. I get a great round of applause at the end of my shows because they're so happy to see me leave the stage. No. Yeah. Woo! But you know, so anyway, so I would get frustrated with things like that. I mean, I did get like passed for like what they call developmental spots, whatever the hell that means. And I, you know, I would get called, you know, sporadically to do, you know, shows where I didn't have to bring people. And that's the other thing. I'm like, bringers? No. This bringer stuff is ridiculous. But anyhow.
It's hard. It's hard working your way up in the biz.
And then every time I would leave for a while and then come back, like the last time I left for like kind of an extended period of time, but it was all different things that was going on. You know, it just wasn't convenient for me to be, you know, breaking my arse to do, you know, to get into certain shows and stuff. When I go back, I see like this sea of young faces. I go like, I'm like the grandmother in the crowd, you know? And who are these kids? Where do they come? They weren't here like 6 months ago. Now they're all over. Yeah, man, why aren't I getting spun? They all think that they should be like, you know, Seinfeld or some big, you know, comedy star, like immediately. I said, fuck kids, you know.
It's so true, you know, like I've seen people come into a comedy club the first time and literally ask, how long does it take to do a Netflix special?
Yeah. Yeah, they want to. Yeah, they want to have their own, you know, network show, like, you know, some of the other, like, you know, Ray Romano or, you know, Ellen DeGeneres, all these people who went on to, but they were working for years as working stand-up comics, doing all kinds of gigs all over the place. They became well-known stand-up comedians like Seinfeld and all those other people. And that's how they got their shows, not like because it was so darn cute and they told one hilarious dick joke, you know. I mean, that's the other thing. Some of these young guys, if I hear one more dick joke from these, like a 20-something, I'm gonna eject them from the room, you know.
Yeah, it gets pretty exhausting. All of the topics that, you know, like dig deeper, folks. There's actually, you have the ability to really do some smart jokes, or I don't know, actually get people to think and listen and love each other better, you know, like do something with your comedy.
I have seen some really young comics who are very sharp and very witty, and they, you know, they don't resort to like they think that every joke has to end in you know, in fuck. That's a hilarious word. Anything that ends in K is hilarious, you know. So I'm going to say, I've seen comics who say fuck like every other word practically, you know, and it gets on my nerve. I'm not offended by it. I'm just bored by it. Cause I mean, I have a mouth on me too, you know, but I don't really use, as bad as I can be in private life, swearing, I don't really do that on stage. So, you know.
So when did you start doing improv?
Well, my good friend Evie Aronson, who was on the KO show with us last night, she does a lot of improv, and she's one who invited me to be in her. You know, and I had taken improv classes and stuff like that when I was studying acting. You always had to do improv in acting, you know, and like the mirror thing, you mirrored whatever your partner was doing. That was that was fun, but
Never have.
huh?
I've never taken acting.
Oh, okay. Well, but yeah, so Evie asked me, well, you know, she knew I had taken some improv classes, but I had never really done any like short form improv or long form improv, any of that kind of stuff uh, with an improv group or anything. Just whatever I had taken it in some drama classes and stuff like that. So she asked me one, and she says, I'm forming a group and I'd like you to be in it. I said, well, Evie, you know, I don't really know, and I don't know all the improv games. You know, I know some of them now, but I'm always having to be refreshed because I don't do it that often anymore. And she said, yeah, but I know you can do it. I mean, you're good on you're quick on your feet. When we're on stage doing comedy, you do, you know, stand up, you know, if there's like somebody in the audience who was disruptive, you know, you're good at like kind of telling them to shut the fuck up without telling them to shut the fuck up, you know, and things like that. So, and just from knowing her for so many years, I mean, we did a lot of stand up together, and she was on shows that I was in a group called Baby Boomerang, and she was like a guest performer with us a lot. So she had faith, and she goes, "No, I'll show you the improv games. Don't worry, you'll be able to do it." So I guess it must have been, I'm thinking it's at least 15 years ago that I really started doing with her group called Squirm. But we disbanded. Well, it just got disbanded. You know, nothing lasts forever. Those kinds of things. But then she's in an organization called Cherub Improv, which was started by this guy who's a lawyer, Jonathan. I can't remember his last name. It's terrible because I don't think I've ever met him in person. We only on the phone and stuff. But it was one of these things where it said, you know, you need to audition for Jonathan. She says, but I'm going to recommend you to him. And he called me up and he said, if Evie recommends you, you're in the group. You know, it's just so it's really like a big organization. Everybody who's in it are either actors or improv artists or both, who volunteer their time. So he has like this long, you know, catalog of performers, and it's called Cherub Improv because all the performances we do are like in nursing homes, assisted living facilities, hospitals, you know. It used to be called Gilda's House, you know, but it's called now Red Door. Now they call it, it's still Gilda Radner's thing in her honor, but they call it Red Door because the place has a red door on it. They do things like that with kids who have, you know, cancer or, you know, or things for the families and stuff like that. So I worked for 3 years in a nursing home. And when I did, I told my boss, and I was working in the recreation department. I said, you know, you do a lot of shows here with people who do like dancers or people who play music and, you know, things of that nature, maybe a clown or a magician or something. It is a nursing home. We're talking about people that are like in their 70s and 100. I mean, we had a lot of centenarians there too. So I said, you know, maybe they might be interested in improv. And I told her about the group and what we did. And she goes, that sounds so good. I said, well, I'll tell my friend Evie because she usually organizes these kinds of things. And so we did only about 3 or 4 shows there while I was there because my supervisor kind of had her head somewhere else. Every time I would ask her, I said, you know, a lot of the residents have been asking me, when are you coming back to do those shows? They were so much fun because it was interactive to them, because we would do the things where you ask for suggestions from the audience, you know, and
Hey,
they really loved it, huh?
that's perfect for a nursing home.
Yeah, they loved it. And I remember there was one woman who she came to see her sister practically every day. Her sister was in the home, and they were both there one day, and they saw our show. And like the next day, I was working in the gift shop there, and she came over to me. She says, Linda, we love that show so much. When are you guys coming back? And I said, well, I'm going to talk to Connie, my supervisor, about it. And we'll try to find out like another, time that we can come. We did it on Sundays. And she said, yes, she goes, because I mean, the musicians are great. She said, but how many times can you hear the same Frank Sinatra tunes over and over again? And
Totally.
that's what they like geared it to, because they were, old, so much older, these folks. But some of them actually like to listen to some rock and roll too,
Yeah.
So, but they said it was so different and it was so much fun. And people were, all the residents who were, who were at the show, when they would see me, they, Linda, we didn't know you did stuff like that. When are you going to come back and do it again? Your friends were really funny too, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've done acting, improv, and stand-up, and you've been in the business. You started in 94, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
You've been in a long time. My gosh. Holy Toledo. So what lessons have you learned that you never thought you were going to learn? What surprised you over the years or from the beginning till now?
Well, I mean, let me see. I guess I didn't realize how much ass I would have to kiss to get certain things, and I'm not really good at that. So
yeah,
I'm not very good at using and hanging out at the bars. That's what they would do. A lot of people and then I just don't like that. I don't like being, my bar days kind of ended like when I was like maybe 22 or something. I mean, I started hanging out at bars when I worked for the New York Telephone Company, and when we would Friday nights, it was like, let's go down to the Bunch of Grapes. That was the name of one of the bars that was near where I worked, and we would like hang out there for hours. I was like 19 years old, like, so no more sangria, whatever. And I was never really a pot smoker. I did smoke a little pot. I didn't have my first hot cigarette until I was 21. And the last one I had was on my 25th birthday, which was a long time ago. And really, you could probably count the number of times I smoked pot on one hand, maybe two. But I really like it,
Yeah.
So
I smoked marijuana one time. I didn't like it.
I never wanted. People always offer me, hey, you want a joint? And they would like give me a couple of joints and walk away. I would get so tired. I fell asleep at a party once, and when I woke up, I made a beeline for the big bowl of potato chips that they had. There was always got the munchies afterwards, So.
Yes, that's probably why I didn't like it. I don't like to gorge myself and then have to exercise.
I actually fell asleep in the corner somewhere at this party, and my friends were still there, and they're like, oh, Linda's snoring or whatever, And I woke up and I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, there's chips, I'm not surprised. I guess I just thought I mad at myself because I know that I could be farther along, but I've stopped doing it so many times, and just got disillusioned. At one point, I thought I'm not doing this anymore because I just couldn't take, a lot of the political bullshit. And then also being on a show where it was like maybe I was the only woman on the show, or maybe two women were on the show. It's still like that a lot. I used to produce a show there at New York Comedy Club. Eric Kornfeld recommended me to Al Martin, who owned the New York Comedy Club, to produce and MC a show of all women comics, which I did. I did it for about 6 months, and but this was back in the 90s, and I called it Stand Up Sisters, and I didn't know who should I put on the show, and I asked Al, who owned the club, and he said, he goes, I'll give you a list of some names. Some of them I knew, but I was still very, very new. I mean, I think this was within the first year that I was, studying with Eric. And so he gave me names. He goes, Wanda Sykes Hall. That's what her name was at that time. And I didn't know who she was really. And no computer, no emails and stuff like that. He gave me their names and their phone numbers, and I would call them all up, introduce myself, tell them what I was doing at Al Martin's club, and could you oh, she was so nice, and oh yes, I'll do it. So she was one of so I would always have like a big person, somebody who was either pretty well known or really up and coming, you know, and who was basically a working comic. Like I had Vanessa Hollingshead and I had Sue Costello, and I knew all of those people too. And some, like, yeah, right now I'm blanking out, and of course Wanda and a bunch of other people. And then I would have a lot of my friends who like were in my workshop with me, and I would have them come on, or a couple of other comics that I knew, but just women. And there was a guy at the club who was one of the managers, and he goes, you know, Linda, you have to put me on the show. I'm the manager. I said, it's called Stand Up Sisters. So I wasn't told I was going to have to put you on, you know. And he goes, well, I said, well, guess what? You can close the show. You can be the last person on there because, you know, as long as I get some time, you know. And he was so annoying. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but I said, like, you know, and that kind of got on my nerves after a while. So I stopped doing it after about 6 months. But it was fun. And the thing that was so interesting to me, because I had asked when I was first asked to do this, how much should I pay the headline? You know, he goes, I had to pay him anything. This, you know, they'll just, you know, and I go, like, really? I mean, like someone who's like, you know, one of the headliners, and so, yeah, you can throw $5 or something like that, you know. And so this is like 1994 or 95 or something like that. And I said, that didn't seem right to me. So, and we weren't charging a lot of money. I think it was like maybe a $5 cover, or maybe a $7. I mean, it wasn't a lot, you know, the 2-drink minimum, all that crap. So whatever I collected, I always put $10 aside to give to the headliner. I didn't pay any of my other, I couldn't, you know, I didn't have enough money to pay everybody. So I always paid the headliner, and I would have put $10 in an envelope, and I would hand it to them when they were leaving. I'd say, oh, you know, Sue or Vanessa or whoever it was, you know, Wanda, you know, here's the, you know, oh, what's this? And I said, like, well, I said, it's not much. I wish it could be more, but it's just a little something for you, you know, being my headliner. Thank you so much. They acted like I, you know, just gave them, you know, $1 million or something. They were so surprised that they were getting paid. These were headlining comics themselves already, or working, or middle acts, or whatever, but they were working comics. And it was like shocking to them that I was giving them some money. And it wasn't like a 5 o'clock in the afternoon show. It was like an 8 o'clock show. I mean, it was a regular show. So, but that was the other thing that I, you know, after a while, you know, I was like, do I still want to do this?
Totally. Does Wanda Sykes remember you?
I doubt. I mean, we only really met that one time. She was very nice. She was really sweet, you know, and she's hilarious. She really is. I like her a lot, you know, her sense of humor.
Yeah, I love her.
I doubt she would remember. Yeah, but you know, who knows? She might. I have no idea. I mean, we're not friends on
It'd be
Facebook.
interesting to find out if she remembers you calling her and giving her $10.
I don't know if I ever maybe had enough more, and I would give somebody 15 if we made more, if we had a good audience one night or something like that, you know. But one night there were some women in the audience. I think it was about two or three of them who came to see the show, and they left before the show was over. And the manager, who always wanted to be put on, you know, he comes over, he said they ran out on the bill. I said, I'm not watching people who's running out. I don't know where they went. I thought they went to the bathroom or something, or they left and they paid. Then they left. I said, I don't know. I said, that's your job. You want to get on the stage? You go run out there and find. I mean, I was so pissed off, and I was so new, but I didn't care. This is the way I am now. I mean, this is the way. When I was a kid, I would never have spoken to anybody like that. But as I got older, it was like everybody knows that, Linda, they know I have a short fuse, and sometimes
so do I.
They say, don't do that on the subway because there's all this crime and stuff on the subway. And, you know, it's really been bad lately. And don't say something stupid to somebody on the street, you know, when they go by. Like this kid was on a bicycle day. He goes right through the red light as I was crossing the street. And he goes right, and I yell, asshole! You know, I mean, I go, yeah, but he probably didn't. Yeah.
So you ran these you ran these shows, and in 1998, I was out barking in front of Stand Up New York for that club.
I hated bark. I barked, but not too often. I really hated it.
I love it. I love it. It's so funny how some people can't stand it and others like it, you know.
Well, when I was with this group called Baby Boomerang, and we were regularly booked at the now defunct Rose's Turn in the West Village. I used to, bark to try to get people into our shows when we knew we didn't have a lot of reservations or anything like that, but mostly I really couldn't stand it. If I could recruit a friend that said, "Oh, I'll do it for you," somebody who wasn't a comic, I go, "Here's the flyers," and I go back to
Wonderful. So you've been in comedy since 94. You understand improv. You've done acting. What are your life goals on stage? In what area, or all of it? How far? What is it that you want to, like with me? I'm not giving up. One day this is crazy, but you got to have big goals, right? And I'm sorry, I can't let go of this goal, and it's lofty. You got to have a lofty goal. That's how I feel. I want to be on Madison Square Garden stage one day. And I know it's stupid, and I'll probably never accomplish it, and I don't care. It's my goal. It's just a goal. It makes me try harder.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting, next week, I'm going to be taking some private coaching / writing with Frank Vignola. You know Frank?
Yes, I've talked to him.
I've known him for years. I've taken classes with him many times. And during the pandemic, just before the pandemic had started, I was taking these like for a year of once a week, these writing coaching sessions with him. And I guess we started doing it in December of 2019. And we only met, like, I think twice, maybe 3 times in person because COVID started. And so we were just doing the coaching over the phone, which was fine. I would email him the new material I'd written, and, and he would have it before him, and, we would talk about it, and he would give me pointers and tell me why. My favorite thing was one of the pieces of advice, because at that time, because we were so isolated and everybody was doing COVID jokes. I mean, but everybody. Every time I was on a Zoom show, everybody had some kind of joke about COVID. And I had written some, and he said, that's funny and it's timely now. He goes, but you're going to have to lose that soon. He says, because this isn't going to last that long. It's not going to be. And like 2 years later, I was still doing some of the COVID joke, and I told a joke about that, about him telling me, you're not going to have to be talking about that for much longer. And I go, I said, I have a feeling we're going to be talking about it a lot longer than we want to. Hello, COVID, Omicron, new variant, the Omicron BA.5 variant. I said, what happened to BA 1, 2, 3, and 4? They didn't tell us about that one. Where's this BA.5 shit? I don't even know where they get this stuff from. Apparently, Omicron has its own little life.
Yes, it's morphing. It's like crazy.
And now people are worried about monkeypox,
Yeah.
Which I think you heard me the other night. I said that's my new catchphrase. Really, when there was a lull the other night when I was doing something, I went monkeypox, and the whole place cracked up, So it's really catching fun. Yeah. So we don't have enough crap to worry about. Now this freaking monkeypox has to come.
So in your life, what do you want to accomplish with your comedy, improv, and acting?
Yeah, well, my sister said to me recently, she goes, so what is this like? It's a hobby now, right? It's just a hobby. And I said, well, it is sort of a little bit more than a hobby. I said, I know I'm never going to become a big star like I should have, but no, and or get my own sitcom like I should. No, but I have no idea. My Netflix special, I'll kick, say, really, do you really want to put Dave Chappelle on? I mean, Linda St. Lucas is waiting in the wings, so. But I just would, right now I don't have real lofty goals. I would be happy, uh, doing more writing and maybe writing stuff for other people or what have you, or getting a writing job, actually they need to hire on SNL an older woman. That's me. I'm sick
There
of
you
all
go.
these young kids who they have to put makeup on to make them look older. You have to put makeup on. You have to put makeup on to make me look old too, but that's another. Uh,
I'm watching you and interviewing you, and the whole time I'm thinking, you belong on a sitcom. You need to be like, you need to have your own sitcom. How come hasn't that happened?
I don't know. I don't have an agent or a manager or anything like that, so I have to do something about that. I guess I don't know. Get my own.
I can see a whole show written right around you.
Ooh. My brother-in-law used to do a lot of acting. He was in the movie True Love. Do you remember that movie from, I think it was the 80s? Annabella Sciorra was in it, made her like a star. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, he was in that. And he used to do a lot of theater and stuff, but he doesn't do that anymore. But one time when he saw one of my things that I was in, I think it was a video that I was in that my friend Evie wrote and directed, but it was a takeoff on Apocalypse Now. It was called Apocalypse Now. I was the Colonel Kurtz character, who was a hairstylist and makeup artist who had gone insane, so it was, and my brother-in-law, when he saw the video, he goes, I can see you like on Law and Order, like playing a judge or something like that, but I've never really gone out for any of this. I mean, I would love to. That would be great. Law and Order is never going to go away. I got news for you folks. It came back, the original one, right? And they're not going to retire Law and Order SVU and Mariska Hargitay until she's like 90 or something. I mean, I like her, but she's getting a little long in the tooth, I think, for the role she's
You're
playing.
so likable, and you're so funny, and you're also so straightforward. And I think just your character, who you are, would be hilarious in a sitcom.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Ray Romano's mother. Like, I know that means old, but I'm not saying that about age. But that kind of a character who was that one that was on Franny, the nanny, the mother of the nanny, a character like that.
Yeah. Oh my God, Joseph Bologna's wife, Renee Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Because a lot of comedians that don't have acting and improv, if they did a role, it would be, oh yeah, tell them to knock off trying to be funny, but you bring the acting and the improv chops, and you're funny. You would add it in the right dosage.
Well, I have recently did another, well, it was a year ago already. Can't believe it. I was waiting for my Riverdale Express bus home, and my phone rang, and it was, you may know her, also very good, very talented comedian, Sharon Simon.
Yes, I love her.
And she called me up and she goes, I'm working on this short film. It's a comedy, and it's a short film, and they need someone tomorrow to do this, one role. And I said, she goes, call, the guy who was doing it, and he's expecting your call, and he's going to email you the script and stuff. And so we did it, and it was a lot of fun. I know that they entered it in some like little festivals and stuff like that, but so I mean, I have that. I have a couple of other little, things that I'd have to have somebody edit it for me and put a little reel together of some of the, these little short videos that I've done with people, like Josh Filipowski was saying yesterday. I did one where I played his aunt. So, and that he directed, and was like, and it was called This Is Why I Brunch. It was cool, and it was funny. Yeah, we So I don't have, I mean, I can get access to it, but I don't, I've never made a reel. I know I'm terrible. I was just like, that's why I'm mad at myself.
I know somebody who out in LA that puts together reels for like 40 bucks.
Wow.
And so I got a sizzle reel of my comedy that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well, a couple of my friends, like my friend Mike, I was Bichetti that I mentioned. I think he knows some people who would do that. He's got a pretty funny reel I saw a while back. And this other friend of mine, Ken Perlstein, he's had featured. He had like a regular, like a recurring role on The Marvelous Miss Maisel, which
yeah,
I've never seen because I don't subscribe to that wherever it is. Is that
I
on
don't
Amazon
subscribe to anything.
or Hulu or whatever the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting near the end of our hour here. As well, we've gone like over an hour and 22 minutes, but
Fun.
we had technical problems, so it's not really. Tell people where you're going to be performing, and tell people if they want to book you, how far will you travel to get booked? Because people are going to love you out of this.
Well, right now I don't really have anything lined up until September 8th at the comic strip, and also in August at the comic strip. I believe it's the 4th. And in between there, I'll find some other things, to do. So that's it. And how far am I willing to travel? I need somebody with a car. I don't drive. I'm such a
No
New Yorker.
problem.
I
No
don't
problem.
even.
There's a lot of people that drive.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, right now, hey, look, if somebody said, come out to, I know somebody who has been doing a lot of gigs out like in Arizona and California. I'd go there. I won't have to drive. I'll fly,
There you go. Well, see,
anywhere like Florida, places like that. I would be willing to go, stuff like that. I'm not, one of my friends is, who's a comic. She does not like to fly, but she only recently started flying. She was taking trains to place. I said, what do you ever get booked like a European gig? You can't take a train to jolly old England, So she recently took a couple of flights, and I don't think she was crazy about it, but it wasn't as horrible as she thought it was going to be. And so I think she's like starting to get more used to it, Because she took a train trip to wherever the hell it was that was like 30 hours or something. I said, you could have been there in like 3/4 of the time if you took a plane, it wouldn't have been.
I'm taking the train to and from New York, but I have hereditary blood clots, so long flights are not advisable. And besides, I do comedy all the way to New York and all the way back, so I make do.
Long flight, I have issues too with like circulation and stuff, but I always, even before that, I always like to get up out of my seat and like walk up and down the aisle a little bit, I think the longest flight I ever took was when I went to East Africa by myself. I had booked it through a safari company, and and I did meet up with, there were like 8 or 9 other people that were on the same safari as I was. I was in Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. I was there for a month. But when I got to the Rwanda leg of it, everybody else, none of those other people were going there. I was the only one going there. So I was there by myself with my own guide, who saw on the back of one of the guidebooks that they had a picture of Sigourney Weaver, dressed as Diane Fossey, because Gorillas in the Mist had just come out like about 3 years before. So I went like, this is not the real Diane. This is an actress playing. He goes, do you know her? And I said, no, I don't know Miss Weaver. And he said, yeah, she lives in New York too, but I don't know. We're not friends.
You don't run in the same circle.
But I had my own guide and all that stuff. And so I know that these people in Africa who were my guides and stuff like that thought I must be, really wealthy, but I saved for, it was an expensive trip, and I saved, it was a lifetime dream to go to Africa. I've always been fascinated with Africa. And I mean, I saved for a long time for that trip. And it was expensive then. This was in 1989. I don't even know what the hell it would cost now. Actually, I think some of it has actually gone down because a lot of people started going there more frequently, for people. When I told them I went on this, one person asked me, "Oh, did you do any hunting?" I said, "No." Do I look like Hemingway? I said, I said it was a safari, but it was a photo safari,
Oh, it has been
like,
wonderful for your photography.
oh yeah, I have some stuff on the wall here, but yeah, no, it was fantastic. Are you kidding? I would love to do it again. I'd love to go back. Actually, I'd like to go to South Africa because they have fantastic safari parks there, and they have some of the type of hyena that they have there is like a long-haired hyena, totally different looking than the ones that we're used to seeing, and I'd like to see some of the slightly different types of, wildlife that they have there. I'm a big wildlife person.
No kidding. Wow. So, where do you want people to follow you on social media? You know how it is, it helps you get booked if you have a bigger following. So, I'm sure the 2 or 3 people that see this video.
I'm gonna have to start getting a whole new like a whole website and stuff, which I don't have right now. But people can find me on Facebook. Just look up Linda San Lucas, and I'll come up there. And if you want a friend, just send me a friend request, and and then you can like see me regularly because that's where I post like when I'm doing shows and stuff like that. So
Super. So
yeah,
August and September, you'll be at Comic Strip Live
September
up on
8th.
the Upper East Side, 82nd Avenue between 80 and 80.
Second Avenue between 81st and 82nd Street.
Thank you.
Yes, and August 4th also.
Yeah, I'll be there then.
I know.
That's tonight. I'm going to be there. Yay! We're going to have so much fun. I can't wait to see him.
Japanese food. There's a great Japanese restaurant directly across the street from the club.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Japanese? Huh?
Do you eat Japanese food? Do you like Japanese?
Sure.
I mean, there are plenty of. I mean, that's a great neighborhood for all different types of restaurants. But this Japanese place,
I eat real plain food because I have allergies. So no sauces and no spices. I'm a mess. But other than that, I'm a lot of fun. I like the diner that everybody goes to afterward too.
Yeah, I don't know what the diner is because I really haven't been going to the Strip a lot. Only relatively recently did I start going back there. So I'm not sure what time. I love diners.
They go to Gracie Muse Diner down a block.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, it's fun to sit there, but I'll go wherever anybody's going. I'm easily. What?
I love diners. They're great because you can get, they have such a wide variety now. Years ago, diners were like great for a couple of eggs or a hamburger, but now it's like, they're much more sort of upscale than they used to be, and they have very big menus now.
And good desserts.
That's what I don't need, but yes, very good dessert.
Me too. After 3 days on the train, I'll probably be the size of a train when I get there.
Oh, so that's how you're going to be coming. You're going to be coming by train, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
3 days on the train each way, but it's worth it to get there.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's been too long, almost 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad this pandemic is over. I got to do it now. Do it.
No, not to, put a damper on anything, but it's really not over. I mean, it's still here, and people are becoming a little more lax about the mask wearing. I mean, I am too. I don't really wear it when I'm out on the street, unless there's a big crowd. But I'm passing by someone who's like, 20 feet away from me. I don't care. I mean, it's too hot right now to have it on all day. I wear it all the time. I wear it when I'm on the subway. I wear it when I'm on the Long Island Railroad going out to see my sister and my mother. I wear it on public transportation all the time, and they're still saying masks are required. but there are people that are coming on, like the buses and stuff, and they're not wearing the masks. And I don't see the bus driver saying, "No, you got to put your mask on." They don't say anything to them. They just let them come on. But most of the people are still wearing their masks on public transportation.
Yeah, because it's so confined and you can be so close in such close proximity to other people. Like, why risk it?
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to kill you to wear it for 20 minutes or however long you're on the bus. Most of the people aren't on the bus that long, and whatever.
At all.
Like double mask, I think that there's more of a a risk. So
I wear a double mask.
yeah.
I
mean,
don't care.
when I was a kid, I was like kind of a hypochondriac, ooh, germs and stuff like that. And I don't know exactly what the impetus was, but I think I was about 10, 11, something like that. And I was always washing my hands. My mother would say, "Well, Linda, why do you keep washing your hands?" And I don't know, that lasted for maybe a month or two at the most. And then that's up. But one thing that was good about it was it did prepare me for the hand washing I've been doing since January of 2020, or whenever the hell.
Totally. Well, my YouTube gets a lot of views, a lot of hours of people watching it, and you would think I would have a real swelled head from it, but I got the analytics report, and I'm up 20 subscribers this month, and they watch an average of 3 minutes, and I've had hundreds of people watch that just watch for 3 minutes and leave and never subscribe. So there's nothing to brag about. But I'll share this video, Linda, to a bunch of different groups that appreciate comedy and this kind of interview. And usually I get between 100 and 500 views. Now, if you're Sinbad, it's about 3,000, but I don't think you're Sinbad yet.
He's still around.
Yes.
I haven't seen Sinbad in eons, but anyway.
He had a stroke and a brain bleed right after.
Did he really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I did not know that. He seems like such a nice guy.
So I just, like, he let me interview him, and it wasn't because I interviewed him, but he had a stroke and a brain bleed, and he's been trying to make a comeback ever since, but he hasn't made it yet. So he could use prayer.
No, I mean, I always liked him. And I just, haven't seen him around, but I know a lot of comics, sometimes you don't see them on TV or anything anymore, but they're still like working like Vegas and other venues and stuff. And they still draw big crowds, but you don't really necessarily always, hear about them on TV. Hadn't heard about that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that was like almost 2 years ago now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he recover from?
What?
He recover from the stroke?
His family came out and announced the stroke and the brain bleed. And then his family came out maybe 6 months after and gave an update that he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing to recover, and that he hopes to be on the stages soon. But that's been about 6 months ago or a year ago.
Wow. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. It had to be pretty serious for him to stay away.
Sure.
Yeah. So, well, this has been so exciting for me to get to know you. Thank you so much for coming on. And when I share it, I will tag you if you will share it and tell everybody what a wonderful time you had with the crazy Linda that didn't know what time the interview was supposed to be.
I didn't know, you didn't know. Somehow we got together. So that's all that counts.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And now that you're a graduate of the Comic Spot interview, you are on the same level officially as Sinbad. So that means that anytime you want to come back on and plug something big that you're in, come back on for 5 or 10. Just let me know. I'll fit you in. I'll get the time zones mixed up, and I really won't know what time we're doing it, but hit me up. Take a Valium and hit me up.
Oh, yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Everybody, Linda San Lucas on Facebook. Send her a friend request right now.
Not to be
Bye.
confused with Cabo San Lucas, but
What?
I said not to be confused with Cabo San Lucas, which is a great resort in Mexico.
It is,
Go
yes.
there one day. I'm going to go there one day and see if I can get a discount.
I think
Yeah.
you should. And I should get a discount at anywhere that says Smith. Smith
That's
and
right.
Wesson, Smith's cough drops, whatever. See you later. Bye.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Take care.
You too. Bye.